Jameson, thank you for joining us. We're speaking with Jameson Hensley. My counterpart at ESPN does a great job covering the Baltimore Ravens on the other side of the field. And when we're talking to you mostly, Jameson, because we want to learn about Mike Macdonald, what did you think of the defensive effort that Mike Macdonald's unit put out yesterday?
Well, if you asked me after the first two drives, I would say that was the worst I've seen this defense play under Mike Macdonald. But I think it says a lot about him and what he's done throughout the year as far as adjustments and when a team punches and how he can kind of counterattack. And you just saw that defense shut down Patrick Mahomes pretty much for the rest of the game after the first two drives. They didn't get a field goal late in the first half, but there were like two 15-yard penalties that kind of helped the Chiefs get down the field. But he shut out the Chiefs in the second half. And when you do that, a team usually wins. And he has just been – I mean, you look at some of the offenses he's going against this year, whether it was the Miami Dolphins or the San Francisco 49ers, and he has really – he's one of the few teams that have been – few coordinators that have been able to shut down a lot of these high-powered offenses. And he puts his guys in the best position. He's gotten career years out of guys where it was – Patrick Queen had a label of could be a first-round bust. Well, now – he's one of the top inside linebackers in the game. Justin Madubuike just got 13 sacks this year after only having 8.5 his first 3 years. Kyle Hamilton, people were questioning him last year as a rookie. Where did he kind of fit in this defense? This year, he was one of the best players on this team and finished first-team All-Pro. So,
Jadeveon Clowney, how about him?
Oh,
great. Yeah, I mean, he was a guy that I think a lot of people thought was done when he was in Seattle. He comes out, and he, in his 10th season, has probably his best season. And when you talk to the guys and you say, what's been the difference? They talk about Mike Macdonald. Roquan Smith called him a wizard the past couple of weeks on kind of his game plans. But he is a coordinator he's very young, but in his short time has really impressed a lot of people.
Yeah, Jameson, that is what struck me a few years ago when I had Michigan after Jim Harbaugh makes a move to relieve Don Brown of his duties and calls his brother John and says, hey, I need somebody. Mike Macdonald came in. I remember sitting with him a couple times that season thinking, man, this guy is so young. He's impressive, but he is so young. Yeah. So now fast forward a couple years, Jameson, can he walk into a room, not as a defensive coordinator, but as Brady was talking about last hour, can he command an entire organization with his presence and his leadership following Pete Carroll here in Seattle?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question. The one thing I can guarantee is that Mike Macdonald will not be taking his shirt off in front of DK Metcalf at any time either. So he does not have that kind of personality. Mm-hmm. He even describes himself as, and a lot of his family members describe him as an introvert. And he is not a guy that I think really excels or feels very comfortable in large group settings addressing. But he is smart and he knows how to, get the best out of players, and he can relate to players one-on-one. I think he has learned a lot from not only being under Jim Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh, guys who, they've made their whole careers out of, addressing teams and really being, these great psychologists and trying to, tap into a team's mindset and trying to get, motivate them. And when there are rough spots, trying to make sure everybody kind of, holds firm and things there's no finger pointing, things like that. So I think he has learned that over the years. But, I mean, I think, and that's what I would love to see when you hear, when he goes in these interview processes. Are the owners impressed with him one-on-one? Because I think one-on-one he can be very influential and get his point across. But when he goes and has, stands in front of, 60, 70, 80 guys in training camp, how is he going to be able to really, get the message across? And I think that's kind of big. I have no questions about whether he could be a really good head coach and manage a team and do all the things that you need to do behind the scenes as a head coach. But standing in front of a large, when you have that first team meeting, I'm not sure if he will. That's kind of his strength so far right now.
Yeah, but buttoned up is the term that really comes to mind when I watch him and doing my homework on these different candidates. One of the things you do is you go and pull up the YouTube videos of the press conferences that they do every week with reporters like you and I, and he just seems very buttoned up. He sort of seems like, he could have been like an ex-military guy or somebody who works for NASA. I mean, he also just comes off as very intelligent and like somebody who could do anything he wanted to do. And my question to you, Jameson, is, do you have a comparison? Right, we do player comps, around draft time. This draft prospect reminds me of this player who's already in the NFL. Whether it's stylistically, personality-wise, what coach does Mike Macdonald remind you of?
Yeah, I know a lot of fans with the Chargers were going like, "Oh, this is a Brandon Staley, young, defensive coordinator, and doesn't have a lot of experience. He's kind of been rushed up through the ranks a little bit." I would almost say, and I've crossed paths with Vic Fangio a little bit, where again he is a guy that is not probably the well-spoken, he's not going to be the rah-rah type of guy in front of the team, but he is a guy that grinds, loves just being in that film room, and then again one-on-one with players, can really he wants to hear what the players' input is and try to put that into the game plan. But I mean, honestly, he is just one of I've covered a lot of coordinators. He is just so different, and he was just a drastic difference from when we had Wink Martindale, who was kind of your Rex Ryan. You didn't know what he was going to say at any point, and then you go with Mike Macdonald, where you expect him to basically say nothing. And he was not going to reveal anything. He was not going to really give you too much to fill up the notepads. But as you said, he is a very intelligent guy. When he was at Georgia, he spent 4 years as a graduate assistant there. He had already signed a contract to go up to Wall Street to a firm up there when the Ravens called and offered him a coaching internship. And he turned down going up to kind of the world of finance, decided that he wanted to be a coach, and then just kind of worked his way up the ranks here with the Ravens. But still, a guy that I still think, even though he's very young, he has so much experience, just because he never played college football. He started out as a coach right then. Just has a lot of experience. And I'm very interested in how it would work with him as head coach.